Hey, hi, and hello, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and I hope you're ready. I hope you're excited. I hope you are hopeful and feeling aspirational. Because, look, as you know on this channel, we talk quite often about a myriad of different ways in which the music industry currently is broken as hell. And as important as these stories are to talk about and cover, sometimes digging into them so consistently can be kind of daunting and also depressing, because it just makes you feel like there's no hope, things are constantly getting worse, and there's no way out. But I think the first step to actually enacting any sort of change is to start, proposing some ideas or things that we as music fans, observers, and creators could be pushing toward or aspiring for in order to actually create the change that we want to see. So that's why in this video, I've decided to list out 5 things that I think would fix the music industry. Maybe not entirely or completely, but it would greatly improve things, I think. And certainly this is not like the definitive list. I'm open to more suggestions in the comments for maybe a follow-up of some sort too. But let's start the list with... one of the most important steps, in my opinion, is we got to get these goddamn musicians healthcare. Whether you're talking about the biggest pop star who's out there on the stage, dancing their ass off every night out on tour, or a producer, session musician, and the like. And not only do working musicians deserve this from the labels who sign and pay them, but they need to lobby for this collectively through some kind of union, which maybe conceptually sounds kind of crazy, but when you look at organizations like SAG-AFTRA, for example, it's not like entertainment-based unions don't exist in the US, they do. And it's not like there's never been a musicians union in the United States in the past. There has. So if it's something that exists currently in other lanes and has been a thing in the past, there's no reason it can't be a thing again today. Personally, I think one major thing that needs to be fought for first out of the gate is healthcare, especially when you consider how many injuries or, bits of physical wear and tear, the type of illnesses artists are facing out there on the road these days when they perform and go out on long tours. Touring itself is getting more and more and more expensive every year. And if the cost of, problems and issues incurred health-wise over the course of that can be taken off of musicians' plates, that's only going to allow them more time and less stress to be able to focus on what it is they do best. I'd actually like to quickly shout out this pilot program that they were trying in Ireland for a while that they're actually making permanent now, where they gave 2,000 artists the equivalent of $1,500 per month, just sort of seeing what would happen when trying that. And they actually found that a lot of these working artists that they gave that money to ended up doing better financially in the long run because they were able to make more time to make art, go out and seek more art-based gigs because they actually had this money to take care of their basic human necessities on a monthly basis. Basically, in short, because they had this chunk of money to support them, be a bit of a safety net, they actually had the time and the bandwidth to do their jobs and actually make money doing their jobs, meaning higher levels of yearly taxable income. Whoa, isn't that crazy? When you actually support artists and give them money, they have more time to make art and are more successful at it. Shout out to Ireland. Okay, look, we've discussed this before on the channel, but we have to put it here again bluntly. We actually need to outlaw fucking scalping because ticket prices are getting more and more insane every year. And as evidenced by the recent FTC lawsuit against Ticketmaster, even though there are laws in place that are supposed to be preventing this sort of thing, clearly these big companies, Ticketmaster, Live Nation, and the like, are aware these practices are happening and they are not doing anything about it. They're turning a blind eye. They're skirting the laws because obviously it's putting more money in their pockets. But yes, like I said at the start of the video, there's a lot of ways in which the music industry is currently broken, but this is handily one of the worst and most ridiculous things ongoing right now because it's essentially legal for people to buy through bots, through third parties and the like, as many tickets as they want in mass just because they know a certain show or a certain artist is in high demand right now. And then they just basically sit on those tickets, turn around, sell them for double the price, and just completely screw over music fans in the process. It's happening right in front of our faces. It's getting worse and worse, and it just needs to be stopped. Okay, look, this next one could also apply to, the last topic I just said, but it needs to be talked about in a broader sense, but that's antitrust. Look, without getting into the weeds or having a debate about everyone's personal perception and opinion on capitalism, I think we can all agree that it's not very good or competitive or healthy or beneficial to John Q. consumer for any economic lane or market out there in the music world to be completely taken up by one or two companies in total. That level of almost complete market control is going to lead to a host of bad outcomes, including price manipulations, and in the case of the music industry, both artists and fans getting ripped off. And what I'm proposing here is that not only in the world of ticketing, but also music labels and copyright in general, there is just too much economic power concentrated into just a handful of companies. There was a time way back in the day where, there were like 5 major labels out there and many other smaller independent ones surrounding them in the music market. And over the course of decades, what has happened is that many of those smaller labels have been purchased outright or, turned into little subsidiaries of these larger labels. And even 2 of those 5 major labels have been completely absorbed by the remaining 3, leaving us now with Warner, Sony, and Universal Music Group, who in totality control 69% of the global music market, which between 3 companies is like insane. And if we are to ever see a music market again that benefits musicians and music fans alike, we need to break and bust up this supremely concentrated power, because collectively these labels just have too much control and influence. How this would be done would need to be figured out through some massive government antitrust lawsuit, which historically has happened before. What I'm suggesting here isn't like some crazy outlandish idea that's never been tried. These companies need to be busted up into smaller parts and pieces and just made to actually compete on the basis of the music they're putting out there and promoting and giving to audiences, as opposed to just like sitting on the back catalogs of successful classic records and artists that they just mine for more and more revenue in perpetuity. We also need to start discussing contracts in which artists actually properly across the board get the rights back to their music and to their records over a certain period of time if they are going to sign them away, but maybe that's another conversation for another time. Okay, this is a topic we've talked about so much on this channel, and this is such a broad topic that, it's difficult to come through with like a sharp, pointed suggestion on this, but we just need to, generally speaking, regulate AI. Obviously, there's tons of ways in which AI currently just like so desperately needs to be regulated, but at least in terms of the music industry, at the very least, with respect to music, what we could be doing is properly labeling this stuff when it is uploaded to streaming platforms across the board, making it law that generative AI-based music can't just be like, flooded into recommendation algorithms and playlists, that those playlists spots be saved and prioritized for actual artists, maybe even preventing purely generative AI music from being able to profit in the same way that actual artists do on these streaming platforms too. The last suggestion I'm going to make here is that we need to totally overhaul how the streaming industry works in terms of how artists are getting paid, either by reaching the bare minimum benchmark that platforms like the UMAW have suggested, that artists should across the board, regardless of platform, be getting paid a penny per stream. Either that, or what we need to do is suggest a model that was told to me by the owner of Deezer not too long ago in a recent interview. We will link to that down below so you guys can check it out for yourselves, where he talked about moving more towards something where that chunk of money that is put to the side for artists in your monthly streaming platform subscription, that money is in total distributed evenly to all the artists that you listen to in a given month, regardless of how many streams you've logged on any one of their songs or albums. While this model isn't perfect, it's certainly a huge step up from the way things currently work and would solve a host of different issues. Like, yes, it would entail that your subscription money is actually going toward the artists that you like and care about. But on top of it, this would divorce artists from the need to put out songs that could be streamed as many times as possible in order to actually turn a profit off of their music, basically pushing them to create some of the most mind-numbing drivel we've ever heard in our lives because it could just be played in the background endlessly. But also like putting out songs that are, 1 minute and 40 seconds or just 2 minutes in length over and over and over because that's like an ideal song length to be played again and again and again. This, of course, would also fix the bot problem as well, because this would completely remove the drive to bot a song as many times as possible, give it as many hits and clicks as possible in order to make some money off of it. And sure, while this could potentially put us and Billboard in a situation where they totally need to revamp like how exactly they calculate sales and numbers at the end of the day, the model that all of this is currently working within is proven to be complete shit, basically not transparent at all. And we've seen numerous examples over the years of artists and labels botting their shit in order to have it climb up the charts. So if these numbers aren't even telling us the truth, what the hell do they mean anyway? So yeah, again, while there are many other things that I think could be tried and applied in order to fix what we currently know as the music industry, I feel like these 5 things here are actually a pretty good start and would change a lot of things for the better. So I don't know, why not try them and fight for them and see what happens? Because currently right now, this shit is not working. But yeah, I think that's what I'm going to say for now on this topic. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Over here next to my head is another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to this channel. Anthony Fantano, ways to fix the music industry forever.